wherever you are. Duff, thanks so much. Glad we could all be together. I'm coming to you today from Portland, Oregon, so it's a little early here, and I now see that everyone is in, so that's wonderful. I'm always thrilled to be able to talk about AbleDocs and obviously all of our offerings, and it's an exciting time in our industry to be seeing how PDFUA in particular have really shifted our approach to document accessibility, and I think after being in the space for over 12 years, you really get a sense of how people are really engaging with document accessibility now versus before. So quick agenda, we'll go through who we are, where we are today with digital accessibility, what does it mean to be accessible, and how we can help you ensure complete document accessibility. So AbleDocs was formed almost 3 years ago to the day as a conglomerate of some of the world's leading experts in PDFUA and PDF accessibility. We wanted to take a different approach to document accessibility and really help organizations with a multi-pronged approach to how they tackle document accessibility. Having seen previous approaches by organizations come up short, I think is a fair way to put it. The reality is there isn't one solution that fits all document types, and we really wanted to be able to bring best of class products and services to companies from around the world. Today we have operations in 9 countries. We service 49 different languages. We have 27 offerings. And the reason why that number is so high is because there are very specific ways that we tackle document accessibility for specific document types. So don't be overwhelmed, but we're really trying to make sure that we're covering all of those bases. So where are we today with digital accessibility? Well, it's been a fascinating few years and few decades, I suppose, where people were making content accessible because they were forced to, not because they realized that it was good business practice. And we've seen a shift, particularly in the last 2 to 3 years, obviously with the pandemic, recognizing that digital access to content is much more critical than ever before. We're making sure that everyone has access to that information, regardless of where they are and how they're accessing that content. So it's a really important part of an organization's understanding of how they reach their consumers and communicate with as broad of an audience as possible. And we really look at how companies are communicating on a daily basis in real time, rather than responding to a request for accessibility, which we've seen in the industry in years before. This is now being proactive, and we have legislation that's come in throughout the EU in the last year, and guidance from jurisdictions around the world, making sure that content is accessible for everyone. So what's the game? Well, what does it mean to be accessible? PDFUA Compliance, so the ISO standard for PDF and PDF accessibility, is a really key cornerstone of what that requirement entails. We always get asked to make sure that things are WCAG compliant or compliant with the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. And the reality is the difference between the guidelines and PDFUA are quite stark, because the guidelines are really just a best suggestion. If you have these techniques placed in place, then you should be more accessible, whereas PDFUA is really a black and white line in the sand. They are completely complementary. There are no conflicts between the two, but most of the major testing and validation software out there is testing against PDFUA. You may just not have known that. And then the third cornerstone is usability. And we really want to focus on how people are going to interact with content and understand what's written on the page and how they're going to be able to consume and comprehend all of that content and reuse that in a meaningful way for them. So what's the ante? Sorry, we're on a gambling theme this morning. So the risk of not being accessible, obviously litigation, particularly in the US. We obviously have seen in other jurisdictions outside of lawsuits, but human rights complaints and tribunals brought forward against organizations who are not compliant with the law. Lost customer base and revenue, obviously a terrible thing for an organization to do. And poor usability or user experience. When we start hearing some of the major complaints around PDF accessibility in particular, it's always a complaint around usability. And the reality is that a lot of those problems are solved or mitigated when you make a file PDFUA compliant. And we've got some really exciting things coming up in the next 2 quarters. With a fully accessible mobile reader, as an example. So that ability to consume PDF content on Android or iOS in a meaningful and accessible way is right around the corner. So we're really excited about that. So drawing your hand, what are we offering? Well, we're here to help, and our suite of services can be broken down into 4 main categories: create, validate, remediate, and educate. So when we look at these 4 pillars of our offerings, it's what of our offerings can help you create fully accessible content? When we're validating, what of our offerings can help understand and test against the compliance of content accessibility? Remediate, we have the largest remediation service in the world. We service more clients than any other organization in PDF accessibility. And from an educational standpoint, we're looking to teach people how document accessibility works, how people can understand document accessibility, and how they can implement it, either using available offerings or our offerings. And it's something that we're really excited about. The other piece on the educate side is we're about to launch the full learning suite for the IAAP when it comes to PDF accessibility. So we're really excited about that partnership. So from a create standpoint, we have 4 main offerings. AD-Stream is our high volume transactional document solution. It's the only PDFUA compliant solution of its kind. So when you're thinking of things like phone bills, credit card statements, bank statements, health records, all of those transactional type of documents, AD-Stream is built to live on the fly create fully accessible content. And the really cool thing that we're proud of is that it's a bolt-on solution. Organizations don't need to rebuild their entire infrastructure to ensure that their content is being created in a fully accessible and PDFUA compliant way. AD Publish is our education suite for things like textbooks and tests, and that can be exported into PDFUA compliant PDFs or XML and HTML as well. Access Word is the only application of its kind to generate a fully PDFUA compliant file from Microsoft Word in a single click. We're obviously thrilled about its capabilities and making it easy for organizations to ensure that all of their files are fully accessible when they are being created. And AD Templates is our service that allows organizations to ensure that all of their templates, whether it be from the Office suite or InDesign, are ready to be converted into an accessible PDF. So we're always looking at ways to make document accessibility more sustainable for our clients. Next, on the validate side, we have AD Scan, which is an enterprise-wide site scanning tool that allows us to crawl full websites or intranets, find all PDF files that are there, and validate them against PDFUA. And coming next year, it will also validate against WCAG 2.1 AA. AD Sense is our API-based engine that is used within AD Scan, but can be embedded in other tools that are crawling sites and finding files and testing them against PDFUA. Access PDF is our expert grade validator tool, as well as Remediator's ultimate solution for fixing some of the hardest challenges that a remediator would find in making PDFs accessible. And AD Web is our new offering for validating websites for WCAG 2.1 AA, and we'll be embedding AD Sense into that offering so that organizations can ensure as early on as possible, they know that their website compliance levels and document compliance levels are being validated on a regular basis. Then we get into Remediate. We have AD Gateway, which is our fully customizable upload portal for our clients to be able to send us files for remediation. AD Service is the only service bureau of its kind to guarantee the compliance of every file we produce and back that with a $10 million liability guarantee. We are currently working on our SOC 2 and ISO 27001 compliance for data privacy and security. So we're really excited about how we are ensuring that that entire data flow process in AD Service is meeting the needs of our clients around the world. We also have the largest remediation team and our own built-in alt text team. And again, as I said, the commitment that we have from AD Service, really acting as a partner to our clients, an external internal resource, making sure that we can augment your team as needed is a key part of that. And we work to your deadlines. AD Forms includes both remediation and accessibility for acro forms, as well as live cycle and AEM based dynamic forms. So ensuring that all of your form types are fully accessible at all times. And AD Legacy is our on-demand requesting service where we can insert a function into every single file that you have, particularly for organizations that have large databases of older content that may not be accessed on a regular basis, but needs to be made publicly available. So for that, we have AD Legacy acting almost like an insurance policy where a user with a print disability is able to send that request to us immediately and have the file returned within a 24-hour period to ensure that it's fully accessible. And then you're able to replace the inaccessible file with a now accessible version. On the Educate side, we have two pillars. AD Training, which is our delivered training offering. We have some of the world's most well-known trainers in InDesign, the Office Suite, PDF accessibility. We offer this currently in 4 different languages, and that will be continuing to expand. And we then have AD Academy, which is our online learning platform where people can take self-guided learning for document accessibility and take the journey of learning PDF accessibility and other formats at their own pace. It's also going to be working towards ensuring that people are studying for their potential PDF accessibility testing and certification. So we're really excited about the launch of AD Academy. And it's time to go all in on accessibility. You can no longer pretend that accessibility isn't a thing on your horizon. It's part of everyday reality for organizations creating content. And when we see organizations picking and choosing only certain document types, our biggest fear is from a risk mitigation standpoint, they're not doing enough. It's not as scary as it may seem that first day that you try to learn how to tag a PDF, and AbleDocs is here to help you through your accessibility journey. If you don't know, that's okay. We're here to help and walk you through all of those pieces. And it's not just carte blanche for billing either. This needs to be sustainable and it needs to be cost effective. And that's something that we're always looking to push for our organizations that we work with. And we really want to help you make sure that you're making the right decisions, not just based on whether it's a pretty UI or you got a freebie. It's understanding what you're actually going to be getting and understanding the differences. And I will be the first to congratulate other organizations who are promoting PDFUA and implementing PDFUA versus the offerings that aren't. And for us, it's PDFUA or nothing. And for you, it should be the same. So anytime you have a PDF accessibility question or now a web accessibility question, please feel free to reach out. We are here to help. It's not something we bill for. We want to make sure that organizations are being able to make the right decisions. And I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us today and hear what AbleDocs has to offer, and hopefully we hear from you soon. Anytime you need to get a hold of us, please go to the website abledocs.com, abledocs.com, or feel free to reach out to me or anyone else on the team, and we'd love to talk to you about document accessibility.